about what exactly is electric current. As you know that the term current means flow. So here the charges, the electric charges, they flow and they constitute electricity. So what is electric current? The flow of charges, it constitutes electricity. So here in my last video I taught you about a few substances based on whether they allow this electricity to flow through them or not. They are classified basically into two categories, that is conductors and insulators. So today we are going to see about one such conducting substance. So this conducting substance should not be like, it's not necessarily always a solid. If it's a solid, we call that as a conductor. But if it is not a solid, if it is a liquid, because gases don't conduct electricity, only liquids do, and that too certain liquids do conduct electricity. Those liquids which conduct electricity, they are called as electrolytes, children. So for this, again, like what I taught you in my first video about the testers. There are two types of testers, as I already told you. One based on the heating effect and the other based on the magnetic effect. You can make use of any one of these two testers and know whether a particular liquid is conducting or non-conducting. So what is that? A simple circuit, as I told you that day. So you can just arrange few components like let there be a battery or a cell or a battery, and then a small bulb that can be connected to the substance in question. So now, because here we are talking about liquid conductors, nothing but electrolytes, you take a small beaker or a small container in which you just a glass, preferably a glass or a plastic container, and then you dip in these two ends of the free terminals, free ends of the wire, and then connect it to a battery. If the bulb glows, like how we have seen in the previous class, if the bulb glows, it's a conducting solution, conducting liquid. If the bulb does not glow, it is an insulator, nothing but the poor conductor of electricity. So you can actually collect samples like water. If you talk about water from wells, ponds or lakes, because they do contain some substances which carry this electric charges, which carry this electric current from one place to another, because they contain these salts, what we say, they are called as electrolyte, and in those cases the bulb will definitely glow, children. So water taken from such sources like the tap water or from the lakes or ponds, wells, all these sources of water contain some dissolved salts which make them to conduct electricity. So if you take pure water, distilled water, this will not be the case. Actually the bulb will not glow, indicating that the pure water, the distilled water is, or nothing but the pure water is a very poor conductor of electricity. It's a poor electrolyte. Okay, children. So what makes the water conducting? It's nothing but the dissolved charged particles which are called as ions, children. Ions. Can you see that? So basically conductors can be of two types. Gases do not conduct electricity. They can be solids and liquids. Solids, how do they conduct electricity? Do they have ions in them? No. Solids don't have ions. Instead, they have free electrons. What are electrons? Already I taught you in class 7. The matter is composed of atoms, and inside atom you have some particles, charged particles like electrons and protons. Electrons are negatively charged particles that are present in an atom, and protons are the positively charged particles. Subatomic particles, we say. So solids, because of the presence of this free electrons, they are considered as, they conduct electricity. But whereas in case of liquids, how do they conduct electricity? They do this with the help of free ions, nothing but the charged particles. The charged particles, again here also, there are two types of charged particles, one positively charged particle and the other one the negatively charged particles. So here one very simple example I am showing here. What is the chemical formula of the table salt that we take? Nothing but the table salt means the consumable, the salt that we consume. And when you pass